The morning sun cast long shadows across the ornate corridors of Buckingham Palace as Sarah Matthews, a newly appointed private secretary, hurried toward the Queen Consort's chambers. Her heels clicked against the polished marble floors, echoing through the grand hallways that had witnessed centuries of royal secrets. Sarah clutched a leather portfolio tightly against her chest, unaware that the documents inside would soon shake the very foundations of the monarchy. Queen Camilla sat in her private study, sipping Earl Grey tea from delicate china as she reviewed her schedule for the day. The room was elegantly furnished with antique furniture and personal photographs that told the story of her journey from controversial figure to beloved queen consort. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, illuminating the dust motes that danced in the air like tiny secrets waiting to be discovered. Sarah knocked gently on the door before entering, her face pale with anxiety. She had been working late the previous evening, organizing old correspondence and financial records when she stumbled upon something that made her blood run cold. Hidden behind a false panel in an antique desk that had belonged to previous queens, she found a collection of letters, photographs, and documents that revealed truths no one was supposed to know. As Sarah approached the queen consort's desk, her hands trembled slightly. The documents contained evidence of secret meetings with foreign diplomats, undisclosed financial transactions, and most shocking of all, private communications that suggested Camilla had been aware of certain palace scandals long before they became public. The letters painted a picture of someone who had been carefully orchestrating events from behind the scenes, using her position and connections in ways that would surprise even her closest allies. Queen Camilla noticed Sarah's nervous demeanor immediately. Years of navigating royal protocol and reading people's emotions had made her incredibly perceptive. She set down her teacup with practiced grace and studied the young woman before her. Something in Sarah's eyes told her that this was not going to be an ordinary morning briefing. Meanwhile, across the palace, Catherine, Princess of Wales, was preparing for what she believed would be a routine charitable engagement. She stood before her dressing room mirror, adjusting a sapphire brooch that had belonged to Princess Diana, completely unaware that her day was about to take an unexpected turn. Her lady-in-waiting, Emma, bustled around the room, ensuring every detail of the princess's appearance was perfect. Catherine had always maintained a careful balance in her relationships within the royal family. She respected tradition while bringing her own modern touch to royal duties. Her relationship with Queen Camilla had been professionally cordial, built on mutual respect for their roles in supporting the monarchy. She had no idea that this carefully maintained harmony was about to be tested in ways she never imagined. The first hint that something was amiss came when Catherine's private secretary, James, burst into her dressing room with unusual urgency. His normally composed demeanor was replaced by barely contained excitement and concern. He carried a sealed envelope that had been delivered by special courier just moments earlier. The envelope bore the official palace seal, but something about its urgent delivery suggested this was no ordinary correspondence. As Catherine opened the envelope, her expression shifted from curiosity to shock, then to something resembling steeled determination. Inside were photocopies of some of the documents Sarah had discovered, along with a handwritten note explaining how they had been found. The implications were staggering, and Catherine realized that the information in her hands had the power to either destroy the royal family's reputation or, if handled correctly, strengthen their position by addressing issues before they became public scandals. Back in the Queen Consort's study, Sarah finally found the courage to speak. Her voice was barely above a whisper as she explained her discovery, watching as Queen Camilla's expression remained remarkably composed. The older woman listened intently, occasionally asking clarifying questions, but showing no signs of panic or distress. It was as if she had been expecting this moment for years, preparing for the day when her carefully guarded secrets might come to light. Queen Camilla stood slowly and walked to the window, gazing out at the palace gardens where tourists gathered to catch glimpses of royal life. She remained silent for several minutes, her mind racing through possibilities and consequences. Sarah waited nervously, unsure whether she had done the right thing by bringing this information forward or if she had just ended her career before it had truly begun. When Queen Camilla finally spoke, her voice carried the weight of years of experience navigating royal crises. She acknowledged that the documents were genuine, but explained that the context surrounding them was far more complex than they appeared. She spoke of the delicate balance required to maintain the monarchy's stability while protecting the interests of the nation and the Commonwealth realms. Some of her actions, she revealed, had been taken in consultation with intelligence services and senior government officials, though the documentation of such cooperation was necessarily limited. The revelation that Queen Camilla had been working behind the scenes on matters of national security and international relations cast her previous actions in an entirely different light. The secret meetings and undisclosed communications were not evidence of personal ambition or wrongdoing, but rather proof of her deep commitment to her role and her willingness to take on responsibilities that others might find too burdensome or controversial. As the morning progressed, news of the discovered documents began to spread through the palace's inner circles. Senior members of the royal household were quietly informed, and emergency meetings were hastily arranged. The palace's crisis management team, well-versed in handling sensitive situations, began developing strategies for addressing the potential fallout while protecting both the institution and the individuals involved. Catherine, meanwhile, had been conducting her own investigation into the documents she had received. Her natural intelligence and her years of experience in royal life had taught her to verify information before acting upon it. She reached out to trusted contacts within the government and the palace administration, seeking to understand the full scope of what Queen Camilla had been involved in and why such secrecy had been necessary. What Catherine discovered surprised her even more than the original revelations. The Queen Consort had been quietly working on initiatives that would benefit the entire royal family and the nation as a whole. Her secret diplomatic efforts had helped resolve potential crises before they became public, and her financial arrangements had been designed to ensure the long-term security of royal charities and institutions. Far from being evidence of wrongdoing, the documents revealed a level of dedication and strategic thinking that commanded respect rather than suspicion. The day that had begun with shocking discoveries and potential crisis was slowly transforming into something entirely different. As more information came to light and the true context of Queen Camilla's actions became clear, those who had initially viewed the revelations with alarm began to see them as evidence of exceptional service to the crown and country. The secrets that had seemed so damaging were actually testimonies to the Queen Consort's commitment to her role and her willingness to take on difficult responsibilities without seeking public recognition or praise. However, not everyone in the palace was convinced that the situation could be managed quietly. Some advisors worried that if even a portion of this information became public, it could be taken out of context and used to damage the royal family's reputation. They argued for a proactive approach, suggesting that the family should control the narrative by releasing selected information themselves rather than risk having it leaked by others with potentially malicious intent. As evening approached, Catherine made a decision that would demonstrate her own growth as a senior member of the royal family. She requested a private meeting with Queen Camilla, not to confront her about the discoveries, but to offer her support and to discuss how they might work together to address any potential challenges. This decision marked a significant moment in their relationship and in Catherine's evolution as a future Queen Consort herself. The private meeting between Catherine and Queen Camilla took place in the Queen Consort's personal sitting room, a space rarely seen by outsiders and filled with treasured photographs, artwork, and mementos from decades of royal service. The atmosphere was tense but respectful as both women understood the gravity of their conversation and its potential impact on the monarchy's future. Catherine had specifically requested that no staff members be present, ensuring they could speak freely without concern for eavesdropping or misinterpretation. Queen Camilla greeted Catherine warmly, though both women could sense the underlying tension. They began with traditional pleasantries about family and upcoming engagements, but it was clear that both were eager to address the elephant in the room. Catherine had spent hours preparing for this conversation, knowing that how she handled this moment would define not only her relationship with Queen Camilla, but also her own position within the royal hierarchy. When Catherine finally broached the subject of the discovered documents, she did so with characteristic diplomacy and directness. She explained that she had received copies of some materials and had taken the liberty of conducting her own discreet inquiries to understand their context. Rather than approaching the conversation as an interrogation or confrontation, Catherine positioned herself as an ally, seeking to understand and support whatever decisions needed to be made moving forward. Queen Camilla's response revealed the depth of burden she had been carrying alone for years. She spoke candidly about the challenges of being queen consort during a period of significant global uncertainty and domestic political upheaval. The secret diplomatic initiatives, she explained, had been undertaken at the request of senior government officials who needed someone with her unique position and international connections to handle sensitive negotiations that could not be conducted through normal diplomatic channels. The financial arrangements that appeared questionable in the documents were actually part of a complex strategy to ensure the long-term financial independence of royal charities and cultural institutions. Queen Camilla had been working with financial advisors and legal experts to create sustainable funding models that would protect these organizations from political interference while ensuring their continued service to the public. The secrecy surrounding these arrangements was necessary to prevent speculation and potential market manipulation that could have undermined their effectiveness. As the conversation continued, Catherine began to understand the true scope of Queen Camilla's contributions to the monarchy and the nation. The older woman had been quietly addressing problems and preventing crises while allowing others to receive public credit for positive outcomes. Her approach reflected a deep understanding of royal protocol and the importance of institutional stability over personal recognition. This revelation significantly changed Catherine's perspective on her relationship with Queen Camilla and her own future role within the royal family. However, their conversation was interrupted by an urgent knock on the door. James, Catherine's private secretary, entered with visible distress, followed closely by one of Queen Camilla's senior advisors. They brought news that would complicate the situation dramatically and test both women's ability to handle crisis management under pressure. A tabloid newspaper had somehow obtained portions of the documents and was preparing to publish a sensationalized version of the story that completely misrepresented the true facts. The newspaper's version of events painted Queen Camilla as a shadowy figure manipulating royal affairs for personal gain, completely ignoring the legitimate purposes behind her actions and the official sanction she had received for her work. The timing of the potential publication was particularly problematic, as it would coincide with an important state visit that had taken months of careful planning and diplomatic preparation. A scandal during such a high-profile event could have serious consequences for Britain's international relationships. Catherine's response to this crisis revealed her own growth and maturity as a senior royal. Rather than stepping back and allowing others to handle the situation, she immediately began thinking strategically about how to protect both Queen Camilla and the institution of the monarchy. She suggested a coordinated response that would involve releasing accurate information proactively while demonstrating unity within the royal family. Her quick thinking and decisive action impressed even the most senior palace advisors present. The next few hours became a whirlwind of activity as palace staff, government officials, and crisis management experts worked together to develop a comprehensive response strategy. Catherine found herself at the center of these discussions, offering insights and suggestions that proved invaluable in shaping their approach. Her involvement marked a significant shift in her role within the royal hierarchy, demonstrating her readiness to take on greater responsibilities in supporting the monarchy during challenging times. Queen Camilla, meanwhile, displayed remarkable composure under pressure. She provided detailed explanations of her various initiatives to legal advisors and government representatives, ensuring they had all the information needed to verify the legitimate nature of her actions. Her transparency and willingness to subject her work to scrutiny demonstrated the integrity that had motivated her secret activities from the beginning. She also expressed gratitude to Catherine for her support, acknowledging that unity within the royal family would be crucial for weathering this storm. The palace's communications team worked frantically to prepare official statements that would address the newspaper's allegations while protecting sensitive information related to ongoing diplomatic and financial initiatives. They faced the challenging task of being transparent enough to counter false accusations while maintaining necessary confidentiality around matters of national importance. Catherine contributed to these efforts by suggesting ways to emphasize the positive impact of Queen Camilla's work without revealing sensitive details. As news of the impending publication spread through government circles, senior ministers and civil servants who had worked with Queen Camilla began coming forward to support her. Their testimonies provided crucial context for her activities and helped establish a clear record of official authorization and oversight for her various initiatives. This support from government officials added credibility to the palace's position and helped counter the newspaper's portrayal of Queen Camilla as a rogue operator. Catherine also reached out to other senior members of the royal family, briefing them on the situation and ensuring they were prepared to present a united front if questioned by the media. Her diplomatic skills proved invaluable in managing these delicate conversations, as some family members initially struggled to understand the full context of Queen Camilla's actions. Catherine's explanations helped them appreciate the complexity of the situation and the importance of supporting Queen Camilla publicly. The crisis also brought Catherine and Queen Camilla closer together in unexpected ways. Working side by side to address the challenges, they developed a deeper mutual respect and understanding. Catherine gained valuable insights into the pressures and responsibilities that would await her in her own future role as Queen Consort, while Queen Camilla came to appreciate Catherine's intelligence, discretion, and commitment to the institution. Their collaboration during this difficult period laid the foundation for a stronger partnership in future royal endeavors. As the deadline for the newspaper's publication approached, the palace team had developed a multifaceted response strategy that included official statements, background briefings for trusted journalists, and preparation for a potential media blitz. Catherine had volunteered to take on a prominent role in defending Queen Camilla publicly, demonstrating both personal loyalty and institutional solidarity. This decision represented a significant moment in her evolution as a senior royal and her relationship with Queen Camilla. The atmosphere in the palace remained tense as everyone waited to see how the crisis would unfold. Staff members who had worked closely with Queen Camilla expressed their support and admiration for her dedication, while newer employees gained a deeper appreciation for the complexities of royal service. The crisis had revealed aspects of royal life that were rarely visible to outsiders, including the genuine commitment and sacrifice that senior royals made in service to their country. Despite the stress and uncertainty, both Catherine and Queen Camilla maintained their scheduled public appearances, demonstrating the royal commitment to duty regardless of personal circumstances. Their public demeanor showed no signs of the crisis unfolding behind palace walls, reflecting years of training in maintaining composure under pressure. However, those who knew them well could detect subtle signs of the strain they were experiencing and their determination to protect the institution they served. The morning of the potential publication dawned gray and drizzly, matching the somber mood within Buckingham Palace, as staff members prepared for what could become one of the most challenging media storms in recent royal history. Catherine had barely slept, spending most of the night reviewing briefing materials and practicing potential responses to hostile questions. She had made the bold decision to hold an impromptu press conference that would address the allegations directly, a move that surprised even her closest advisors, who were accustomed to more traditional royal responses to controversy. Queen Camilla had also been awake since the early hours, finalizing preparations for what she privately considered might be her most important public appearance since becoming queen consort. She had chosen to wear a deep blue ensemble that conveyed both authority and accessibility, knowing that every aspect of her appearance would be scrutinized and analyzed by media commentators. Her calm demeanor belied the intensity of preparation that had gone into ensuring she was ready for any question or challenge that might arise. The newspaper's editor had been contacted by palace representatives offering exclusive access to additional information and interviews in exchange for delaying publication until all facts could be verified. This negotiation had continued through the night, with both sides recognizing the potential consequences of either rushing to publish unverified claims or suppressing legitimate journalistic inquiry. The editor found herself in the difficult position of balancing competitive pressure against the responsibility to ensure accuracy in reporting about such sensitive matters. Catherine's press conference was scheduled for mid-morning in the palace's ornate blue drawing room, a setting chosen deliberately to emphasize the formal and official nature of her statement. As media representatives gathered, there was an unusual sense of anticipation and uncertainty about what the Princess of Wales might say. Royal press conferences were rare enough under normal circumstances, but one called at such short notice suggested developments of exceptional significance. When Catherine entered the room, her presence commanded immediate attention and respect. She had decided to speak without notes, allowing her to make direct eye contact with journalists and convey sincerity more effectively than reading from prepared statements. Her opening words acknowledged the unusual nature of the situation while establishing her authority to speak on behalf of the royal family regarding matters affecting Queen Camilla and the monarchy as a whole. Catherine's statement was masterful in its combination of transparency and discretion. She confirmed that Queen Camilla had indeed been involved in various initiatives that were not part of her regular public duties, but she provided context that completely reframed the narrative. Rather than portraying these activities as secretive or potentially inappropriate, Catherine described them as examples of exceptional dedication and service that went far beyond what was required or expected of someone in Queen Camilla's position. She revealed, with appropriate authorization from government officials, that Queen Camilla had been specifically requested to undertake certain diplomatic initiatives because of her unique ability to build personal relationships with international leaders and their spouses. These relationships had proven invaluable in facilitating important discussions and agreements that benefited British interests around the world. The secrecy surrounding these activities was not an attempt to hide wrongdoing, but a necessary protection for sensitive diplomatic processes that could have been compromised by public attention. Regarding the financial arrangements that had raised questions, Catherine explained that Queen Camilla had been working to establish sustainable funding mechanisms for royal charities and cultural institutions that would reduce their dependence on government funding while ensuring their continued operation. This work required careful legal and financial planning that necessarily involved confidential discussions with experts in various fields. The goal was to strengthen these institutions for future generations while reducing the burden on taxpayers. The questions from journalists were predictably challenging, but Catherine handled them with a combination of firmness and grace that impressed even skeptical reporters. When asked about potential conflicts of interest or whether proper oversight had been maintained, she was able to point to specific government departments and officials who had been involved in approving and monitoring Queen Camilla's various initiatives. Her responses demonstrated both thorough preparation and genuine understanding of the complex issues involved. One particularly pointed question about whether the royal family should be involved in activities beyond their traditional ceremonial roles prompted Catherine to deliver what many observers later considered her most powerful moment. She spoke passionately about the evolving nature of monarchy in the modern world and the importance of senior royals contributing meaningfully to addressing contemporary challenges. Her vision of active, engaged royal service resonated with many who had previously criticized the institution as outdated or irrelevant. As the press conference concluded, it was clear that Catherine had succeeded in fundamentally changing the narrative surrounding Queen Camilla's activities. Rather than a scandal involving secretive behavior, the story had become one of exceptional dedication and innovative approaches to royal service. The journalists who had arrived expecting to cover controversy found themselves reporting on what appeared to be a new model for how senior royals might contribute to national life in the 21st century. The immediate aftermath of the press conference saw a remarkable shift in public and media response to the original allegations. Support for Queen Camilla began emerging from unexpected quarters, including former critics who acknowledged that her behind-the-scenes work demonstrated genuine commitment to public service. Government officials who had worked with her began speaking publicly about her professionalism and effectiveness in handling sensitive matters. The newspaper that had been preparing to publish the original story found itself in the awkward position of having to significantly revise its coverage in light of Catherine's revelations and the additional context that had been provided. The editor ultimately decided to focus on the positive aspects of Queen Camilla's work while acknowledging the importance of transparency in royal affairs. This decision reflected both journalistic integrity and recognition that the original story had been based on incomplete information. Within the palace, the successful management of the crisis had several important long-term consequences. Catherine's handling of the situation had clearly established her as a senior figure within the royal family, capable of taking on significant responsibilities and representing the institution under pressure. Her relationship with Queen Camilla had also been strengthened through their collaboration, creating a foundation for more effective cooperation in future endeavors. Queen Camilla herself emerged from the crisis with her reputation not only intact, but actually enhanced by the revelation of her previously unknown contributions to national service. The incident had provided an opportunity to showcase aspects of royal work that were rarely visible to the public, helping to demonstrate the continued relevance and value of the monarchy in contemporary British society. She had also gained a powerful ally in Catherine, whose public support had been crucial in managing the crisis effectively. The episode had broader implications for how the royal family might approach transparency and public communication in the future. Catherine's willingness to engage directly with challenging questions and provide substantive explanations marked a departure from traditional royal communication strategies. This approach proved effective in building public understanding and support, suggesting that similar strategies might be valuable in addressing future challenges. For Sarah, the young secretary who had originally discovered the documents, the resolution of the crisis provided important lessons about the complexities of royal service and the importance of understanding context before drawing conclusions. Her decision to bring the documents forward had ultimately served the royal family well by allowing them to address potential issues proactively rather than being caught off guard by external revelations. The relationship between Catherine and Queen Camilla continued to evolve in the months following the crisis, with both women working more closely together on various initiatives. Their collaboration demonstrated that the royal family could present a united front while also embracing different approaches and perspectives. This partnership would prove valuable in addressing future challenges and opportunities facing the monarchy. The incident also highlighted the important role that trusted staff members play in supporting the royal family during difficult periods. The crisis management team's professional handling of the situation, combined with the loyalty and discretion of long-serving palace employees, had been crucial in achieving a positive outcome. These relationships between royals and their staff continued to be fundamental to the effective operation of the monarchy. As time passed, the events surrounding Queen Camilla's revealed activities came to be seen as a turning point in public understanding of modern royal service. Rather than simply participating in ceremonial functions, senior royals were increasingly expected to contribute meaningfully to addressing contemporary challenges. Queen Camilla's work had provided a model for this more active approach, while Catherine's defense of her activities had demonstrated the importance of effective communication in building public support. The final outcome was a royal family that appeared more unified, more transparent, and more relevant to contemporary British society than before the crisis began. What had initially seemed like a potential disaster had become an opportunity to showcase the positive aspects of royal service and to build stronger relationships both within the family and with the British public. The bold response that Catherine had chosen had not only protected Queen Camilla but had also strengthened the institution they both served.